Heidi ho, everyone. Happy New Year to you all. It is wonderful to be back on board. And goodness gracious me, there's a few things changed since last we met, not least of which Brexit's over. How good's that? How good is that Brexit is no longer a thing that we have to be concerned about? I'm super happy about that, number one. Number two, this one's just a little bit less on the happy side, I suppose, given what we've seen out of the US in the last, 48 hours or so. Absolutely unbelievable. Um, I don't know if I need to have commentary around that. It's just so bad. And any thought that we had that Donald Trump was going to leave office without a fuss, did we ever have that thought? Um, I guess it was a possibility at some stage, but it certainly didn't happen. It wasn't even on the cards. And wow, what a mess he's created over there. It's just absolutely awful. Guys, this is a brand new format. And Ash will be joining us around about quarter past the hour. And the reason for that is that that's his prime trading time. And it's also one of the reasons that we didn't stick with the UK session, because Ash and his style of trading is all about the first 15 minutes really of UK session. He likes to get a very, very good feel for what's going on there. Completely different to me. I'm a completely different and in fact diametrically opposed to that. Yes, I want to see what happens in the first few minutes of London session. But I don't really want to trade it any other way than from the breakout perspective, and that's exactly what we'll be looking to do, and hone that breakout trade that we'll set in just a minute down to its best possible results. We'll be doing that each and every day, of course. So nothing will change there. What will change is we're now in meeting format, as you can see, and all you guys have the ability to be on camera. The reason for that is we really want to turn the show over to you guys. Yes, we'll still have our trades, we'll still have our opinions, and we'll still show you our setups and all the rest of it. But we could have called it something like talk, trader talk, trader talk radio, perhaps, but somebody else had that idea, I believe. And of course, we're very much a party to that. Look, we really want you guys to be involved and tell us what you want at the end of the day. As I said, we'll still be there doing our thing in terms of trading our setups, showing you our setups, actually giving you the same education that we always have and we always want to do. The really cool part about being able to do this in this method is that you can tell us what you want. And if that happens to be agreeable to you, then obviously open. Hi, John. I can see John on the feed. I can see Gary and Roy and Steph. And hi, Angel. Happy New Year to you as well. Hi, Wayne. The idea is for you to be involved, right? And as I say, Ash will be joining us around about the quarter past the hour. And in the meantime, I'm going to set up the pound breakout trade. Those of you who haven't yet, cheers, John. Those of you who haven't yet, please join our Telegram channel. It is free for the first 30 days. The link should be down there underneath us somewhere on YouTube, I think. I'm not, as you know, terribly au fait with technology, but as I understand it, there is a link underneath us here on YouTube. Let me check that. You can join the meeting, yes, on Zoom. So that link's there, and the Telegram group is also there. So you can join that for free for the first 30 days. Our idea with that, I'll explain to you once we've set up the pound US dollar trade. So let's do that. Let's set up that trade and see how we progress throughout 2021 with this brand new system of talking to you. I can check and see. Yes, you can see my screen. Awesome. So the rules for this I have posted in the Telegram group, guys. So all you need to do to know exactly what I'm doing here is go to that Telegram group, as I said, absolutely for free. The link below us on YouTube, and you will see the rules to that quite clearly in the Telegram group. So I won't go into in depth in this, but wow, it looks like we've got a bit of a bearish scenario here right now. Okay, we can now trade it. I've got a little EA thanks to my good friend who I haven't seen for yonks in the room. I don't know where he's gone, but here's what we're doing. We're going to go long at 1.3514, and we're going to go short at 1.3482. So all we're doing here is taking the high of the range of the last three bars, which is this bar, and this bar, and the low of the range of those bars, which in this case is high of that bar, low of that bar. And actually, I've got to go back one now. Let me do that. Why is that not happening? That's a good question. Okay, go back. Start bar is 1. Right, so that takes me back to there. As I said, those parameters are the same. I'm going to place the trade before we go any further. So we've got a buy stop at 1.3514, as I said. Now, before I place this trade, and you guys look to place this trade if you're going to do that, you need to take note of the fact that it's still very much in beta test mode. So if you are going to actually trade this, you need to trade it at absolute minimal risk until we've given you the go-ahead and the green light that says this is now a proven system. It is not a proven system at this point. So the buy stop, as I said, is at 1.3514. I'll just point 1, that'll do. 1.3514. That'll be the buy order. Now, those of you who haven't seen this before, it's what we call an OCO. So one trade or one order cancels the other if it is triggered. And the stop on the buy is the low of the candle, which is this candle here, which is the second candle in the last three. This is the first, the second, and the third. So the last 3 bars prior to London Open. We've got 1.3514 as our entry. Our stop loss will be underneath the candle that we're trading, or the high of the candle that we're trading. So the stop loss in this case will be the low of this bar. And I'll get that value for you. It is 1.3492. So we only got 3 pips there, is that right? It can't be right. It's not right. 1.3514. There we go. 1.3492. Okay, so there's the long order. Okay, that's in the market. It's a buy at, I'll just put that up on the label for you. 1.3514. Stop loss 1.3492. And TP1. Here's the next rule. Guys, those of you who just joined us, the rules for this breakout trade are on the Telegram group. You can join that for free. The link is underneath us on the YouTube channel. You can go straight to there and join that Telegram group for free, and you have the rules of this breakout strategy there for you. TP1. Now, TP1, the rule for this is half of the risk in terms of pips. So the pip risk here is 22 pips. So we're going to take TP1 at 11 pips. In this case, that will be at 1.3525. So 1.3525 will be TP1. TP2 will be double the risk. So if we've risked here 22 pips, our TP2 will be 44 pips. So 44 pips onto 1.3514 will be 1.3556. 1.3556. Again, the rules to this, guys, if you're not keeping up with me, are underneath here on the YouTube channel. Just join the Telegram group for free. And then we will, the next rule is we will trail 2 H1 bars. So what that means is, I'll go through that in a sec. trail 2 bars on H1. So that's the buy order, right? Now the sell order, is the low of the last 3 bars prior to London Open. This is H1 bars, right? Hourly chart. So the low is here. 1.3482 will be the entry for the sell. 1.3482. The stop loss will be the high of this bar, so it's almost virtually the range at 1.3686. That can't be right. Let me get that right, and I'll get rid of that. The high of that bar is at 1.3513. We'll go up 1 pip and call it 1.3514, which is exactly the same as our long entry. That's just a fluke. That's not necessarily going to be the case. So the stop loss is 1.3514 and TP1. Now the risk on this will be bigger because it's a bigger candle. We've got 18 plus 14 is 32 pips. So our TP1 will be half of that. So that'll be 16 pips. So we're going underneath. So 16 under there will be 1.3466. 1.3466 is TP1. I'll give you the rules for TP1 in a minute. And TP2 will be double our risk in terms of pips. What did I say it was? 18 plus 14 is 32, so it'll be 64 pips underneath there. So our 1.3418 will be our TP2. And at that point, we will trail 2 bars, two hourly candles. All right, so there's the order. Now, for those of you who are trading this for the first time, again, this is in beta test mode. It is definitely not a proven system, so you've got to take that into consideration. If you are going to trade this, it has to be at absolute minimal risk. And what we're looking for here is a TP1, as I said, at half of our risk. So in this case, we've got the sell TP1 at 1.3466, which is, squeeze that up a bit. There's our TP1 level for the short, round about there. Let's get it right, shall we? 1.3466. I won't be this slow every day, guys, because I'm just trying to get you guys up to speed with this, especially those who are joining us for the first time. And welcome to you if you haven't been here before. It's fantastic to have you on board, of course, and we hope you'll get some mileage out of this, if not enjoyment or entertainment. Probably not. I'm not sure. We'll see how we go. And TP1 for the long is at 1.3525, which is pretty much bang on there. 1.3525. Now, let me just explain what happens at TP1. When you take TP1 here under this system, and this system is likely to change, right, based on evidence that we procure as we go forward. Pardon me, the rule is as soon as you hit TP1, you remove 50% of your risk. So if you've risked, in this case, we're only trialing it, so we've only risked 0.1, right, of a lot. We will take half of that off the table. So we'll bank half of that, and we'll move our stop loss that half, if you like. So at 3.514 our entry, if it goes long, we're taking profit at 1.3525. We would move, that's 11 pips. We would move our stop loss 11 pips underneath our entry. So where the stop loss is now, which is here, we would move our stop loss to 11 pips under the entry level, giving us a free trade. So the worst that can happen if we hit TP1 is price can come back and take our trailing stop which takes us out at break even. That's the worst thing that could happen. Then TP2, which is where up here somewhere, 3556. TP2's up here. Then we're winners no matter what. And we move our stop loss to entry at that point. So TP1, take half off the table, move your stop loss half of the risk in terms of pips from entry, exactly the same as TP1, right? So you've taken 11 at TP1, you've got to move your stop loss 11 underneath your entry. And of course, the same going in reverse. In terms of cancelling this order, if it doesn't trigger, don't bother. It's a breakout trade, right? So we're looking for the breakout, nothing more than that. Hi, everyone. Wow, I can see heaps of people saying hello. And Paresh, welcome to you. Swee, hi, Swee. Happy New Year to you as well. Now, guys, Ash will be joining us very, very shortly. But just a little bit on the basic side of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to throw this open to you guys. So feel free to join us in the Zoom meeting if you want. Now, the Zoom meeting, all you need to do to join that, again, the link to the Zoom meeting, if you're in YouTube, is below the, Ash is just texting me there. I'll pause in a second. All you need to do is click on that link. That'll take you to the Zoom meeting. And you can join us in the Zoom meeting and therefore be part of this whole shebang. I'm sure over the last 12 months, you're all familiar with Zoom meetings, if not something very, very similar to them. Okay, Ash is trying to get into this show, which is interesting that he can't. I'll just text him, guys, won't be a sec. Okay, I've given him that message. Hopefully he'll get it right. There's nothing happening here on the pound at the moment. We're simply going back into the bar that that preceded the UK Open. That's interesting and not unusual, I've got to tell you, for the first bar of the UK session. Now, when Ash does join us, I'm sure we'll have a little bit of a chat around what's happened in the last, 3 weeks since we've been away. Feel free to join that conversation. Feel free to join in at any time. Now, what we need to do is work out how you can do that. I think probably just put a text message somewhere. Where? Not a text. Raise your hand, throw your, I don't know how we're going to do that. Maybe Angel, you could tell me how that happens. That would be a good question. But just wave your hand or take your clothes off or something like that, and I'm sure we'll be drawn to the attention, and you can then chat to us. I can hear somebody in the room whose name will not be broadcast, but his initials are Ash Bull. G'day, mate. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. How's things?
Look, couldn't be better, except it's been a very hot day here, and that's very unusual for Tasmania. 37 degrees here in, where is it? Where do I live? Dromedary. And that's pretty much camel territory, isn't it? 37 degrees.
It is, so. Yeah.
It is, bloody oath. How was your break?
Yeah, it's been all right, mate. I have to say it's kind of got a bit interesting now because we got another lockdown. So it's
interesting. That's a good word. Interesting.
Yeah, it's put things back a little bit. You know, I was raring to go for the start of the year, ready to kind of get straight into it. I did a lot of research over the Christmas period, which is great. So I feel kind of ready. But that's the problem. I feel ready to go, but I now haven't got the time capability because of this. With this new lockdown, schools are closed. So I'm kind of I'm doing a different type of education. Yes, which is a lot of fun, I have to say. I mean, it's John will appreciate this. I'm teaching the little one how to play piano at the minute, which is pretty cool. So I've got I've got daddy school kind of running. So I've got a very, very strict regime. I start with a bit of yoga, so we do a bit of stretching, and then we get straight into the piano. So I teach her how to kind of read music and then and play the piano a little bit.
Awesome.
And then it's on to a bit of reading, bit of writing, bit of Spanish, bit of maths. So
oh my God.
Covering the whole thing, mate. Yeah. I'm making sure that she's not getting any time off.
You'll be able to apply for a new job.
Well, I said to her that the world is much kinder to exceptional people. So let's see if we can get you up to speed and do something
There you go.
that many people can't. So because
Make an
you know,
exception.
it was one of the things for me. You know, when I was kind of playing piano, I didn't start. I don't think I really started playing piano properly until I was 7. And it did make a big difference. And I didn't really understand. I didn't really understand how to read music until probably another 10 years after that. I didn't understand the counting because it was the way it was taught to me. It was just completely confusing. So I'm trying to give her that nice and early. Even before the likes of from what I'm aware, Buddy Rich and Mozart both started at 5, and they ended up being child geniuses. Not that I'm going to make her a child genius by any stretch. I just wanted to kind of have the skills to be able to do it, nice and young. Because
Provide the tools, mate. If they've got the ability and the will to do it, then
yeah.
What's wrong with being a child prodigy? Not a lot.
Well, I reckon to really be something special when you're a child, I think you're gonna have to be pushed pretty hard. And
I wasn't pushed pretty hard. No, I was a special child.
Yeah, I'm sure in many ways.
Absolutely nothing to do with music, I can tell you.
Yeah. Angel, yes. Christo, sorry. Christo, is there a Siberian winter coming to the UK? I don't know. It's fairly cold, but I'm in the south, so the south is slightly warmer than everywhere else. We have had smatterings of frost, but we've had no snow down here. Don't get me wrong, it is cold. But I was on the beach yesterday. We went quite nice. We put some.
You're allowed, yeah.
Some nice.
Obviously.
What's that, buddy?
You're allowed to go on the beach, yeah?
Oh yeah, you're allowed to go on the beach, yeah. So we put some chocolate croissants in the oven, and I made some coffees. Walked down to the beach and had breakfast on the beach yesterday morning, and it was nice. It was actually a really nice, pleasant day. And it's cold, but as long as the wind's not too high, actually you can find some pretty nice sunny spots. It's pretty good, mate. It's pretty good.
Should we talk about trading, do you think?
We probably should. Yes, we probably should. Let's do that because I think there's.
Have you got any thoughts?
There's loads of stuff. I mean, it's a strange start to the year because it's kind of it's slow as the new year tends to be, but there's lots going on and there's lots bubbling around. In the wings. Let's start with Donald Trump and his potential
some stuff
impeachment.
Has changed, hasn't it? Yeah, I was mentioning that at the outset. I mean, are you kidding? Really? Did that really happen?
Oh, what with Capital? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Would you know what though, mate? I'm not surprised that you say that, because you were actually the predictor. I remember you saying not that long ago that he's not going to go quietly.
Yeah, well, I wasn't expecting that. Actually, my son drew me to that conclusion whenever I mentioned it. It was some time ago, and he was forecasting that they won't get rid of me quietly. They certainly haven't to date anyway.
No.
And it's not over yet.
No, absolutely not. No, I don't think it is.
What does that do to us in terms of tradability, do you think? Is that a clear pointer to something?
Well, do you know what? This is where I think things are getting interesting, and I'm going to share my screen because, if you don't mind, I just I think the dollar is now quite interesting, and I've got some trades on with the dollar. But let me show you.
It didn't quite get to 89, did it? The dollar index.
No, it didn't.
A little bit above it, but you know what? And last year I witnessed this all the way through. You probably remember that monthly trade line that was coming down, and I said, this is going back to here, and then it's going to go short. This is going back to here, and it just misses. It doesn't quite get to that point.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, anybody
2021 for me.
Anybody's looking at that, have a look at TradingView or something and see what Jeff's talking about, because he's talking about the dollar index, which didn't quite get to 90. I think it got to 89. I think it got to. Let me just check out where my low is on that. 89.12 it got to, mate. 89.12 on my chart, which is pretty close, but interesting. Like let's talk about just a few things. Actually, let's talk about the dollar first, and then we'll talk about the charts. Now we really want to invite everybody as well that's in the room. You are welcome to come on and chat Anytime, we kind of and don't worry about if you kind of want to do it every day, because what we're going to do is give everybody, between 2 to 3 minutes just to come on and chat. So it'll be time dependent. So John, if you want to come on every day, you're welcome to come on every day. Whoever else, you can come on whenever you like. Just chat about the markets, chat about anything you like. Okay, so if you want, just stick your hand up and we'll bring you on.
Actually, before you start, mate, Crystal, I can't answer that question because I wasn't trading it. I've got no idea. But tell you what we'll do. I'll the pound breakout trade. I'll go back and count for you in the next. I won't do it today or tomorrow, but I'll definitely go back and do it over the next week or so and give you those numbers.
Yes, Christo. I think what the points that Christo's saying. So Christo's asking here. He's got crypto down, bond yields up. Why? Lack of buyers of bonds, money going into Bitcoin, to bonds. Not sure. But the interesting thing is that this is what's pointing to a higher dollar right now. This is pointing to a bit of a surge in the dollar. The market is almost Sugary selling his money doesn't go from Bitcoin to bonds, and I don't think it would. I think it's a different play, but the market has almost started to kind of do Jerome Powell's job for him by seeing this boost in bond yield. So we're seeing that the 10-year up, we're seeing the 30-year up, we're seeing the spread between the 10 and 2-year starting to increase as well. Now this should be quite bullish for the dollar. Really, now we know that Jerome Powell and the Fed don't want to move on the dollar at least until 2022, but they might not have a choice. It might be that the market reprices things, and they might have to start stepping in. But let's just think about the dollar now. Just back to the Donald Trump thing. I think it's becoming I think it's a bit of a sideshow now, mate. I don't think that's going to drive the markets anymore. I think that what happened in the Capitol and on the Capitol Hill, even though it is incredibly newsworthy and it is quite an extreme event, it's not really market driving. I mean, that won't. It's not going to kind of rock the financial markets because, and one of the reasons for that is that he's on his way out anyway. So nothing was done that's been that significant that would change the course of what's about to happen over the next 5 years at this stage. But his impeachment, it's kind of who cares now, right? I mean, he's gone anyway. He said by the 20th of January, we're going to get a new president. So it's not like
Promise?
Well, you can't promise anything, can you? But it's not like the foundations of the United States is about to get rocked by whatever happens now to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is history, really, and I do find this whole period very strange in the U.S. system, where they have this kind of long drawn out handover after somebody's lost the election. Maybe there was a reason for that. Maybe it's because they wanted to make sure. I don't know, but it does seem a bit peculiar to me. But Donald Trump is by all accounts has gone. An impeachment will be newsworthy and it'll be interesting and an interesting story. But I don't think it's going to have any impact on the financial markets now.
Yep, fair enough.
That's my personal thought. I think what's driving the market is something separate. Now, if we think about the COT data. Let's put seasonality to one side right now, because seasonality is such a kind of long term from the bird's eye view kind of perspective. But COT data is still suggesting.
Let's not just dismiss it for now, because,
okay,
as you know, I don't take much notice of it. But at the end of the day, I think seasonality has got a far better chance now that Trump's out of the way, Brexit's out of the way, COVID's on the improve in terms of now we've got a vaccine. Whether it's effective or not is another story, but that's got to bring confidence back into the world. So we've kind of struck off three barriers, I guess, to what seasonality could or could not be, or should not be, probably. So I think that's probably something that I might take a little look at in 2021.
Yeah, I think that's fair, mate. And I think when it comes down to seasonality, it really does depend on which perspective you look for, which time perspective you look at. Some people are very kind of nuanced with seasonality, and they'll literally look at a day and say, the 20th day of of January, we're likely to see a rally on the S&P. But you know, and I think that's what's going to be interesting about seasonality is that it's going to be the broader picture. You know, is it going to get so much more accurate now that we can like get a lot more nuance with it, or are we still looking at, you know, should we really look at the kind of broader picture? And I think for, you know, certainly for the short term, we should probably look at the broader picture instead. Yeah. So
what do you got? What are we doing?
Sorry, mate. I'm just getting a bit distracted by just Christo's asking about talking about its interesting Ethereum down to 1K. Thought it would go up, like you said, Shukri. Well, I mean, Shukri's talking about it going up by the end of this year. I don't think he was talking about sort of like being specific on a day. I think we're all probably in the camp that cryptocurrencies will go up by the end of the year. I mean, you know, I was saying to my friend was saying to me, he's got Ethereum and he bought $600, and it was around the $1,100 mark. And he said, you know, what's going to happen to Ethereum from here? And I said, well, you know, there's some resistance. It should retrace, but then it'll probably pop up to 1,400. And of course, it gets to 1,250, and then it starts coming down. And he's like, well, you said it was going to come down. I was like, I can't say exactly the price. It's all ballpark, you know. I mean, you can only sort of like say it should happen. This is what is more likely to happen if you look at this kind of aspect from this particular angle. But you can't say this will happen because none of us have got the money to push the market. So we can only give an educated view. So don't get too kind of caught up with thinking that you can absolutely predict the market or what anybody's opinion of the market is. You know, we're sort of our opinion is informed and it tends to be right from the broader picture, but we can't say we're going to be right every time, and we're certainly not going to be able to get nuance to say it's going to be exactly this day and exactly this price it's going to turn.
And that's a massive trap for new traders, right?
Yeah,
you can listen to, you know, the best traders on the planet, the best investors on the planet, who will tell you, I don't know, Warren Buffett's bought XYZ.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's going up today. It doesn't mean it's going up tomorrow. Or
yeah. Well, yeah. Barrick Gold is an example of that, mate. Really interesting. Warren Buffett sort of the report that Warren Buffett bought Barrick Gold, and you know, I wouldn't say it tanked, you know, soon after, but it did ease back down again. Well, you know, after the report that Warren Buffett had bought it, but then you kind of find out later that almost within hours of him buying a certain position in it, he sold half of it. So it wasn't as big a story as, you know. You have to be so careful with news and what they fill the news with. But yeah, let's go back to
whatever they're talking about happened yesterday or the day before anyway.
Exactly, mate. And do you know what? Let's think about this with gold. Now we're talking about with gold. Really interesting what's going on here. Because we got gold and oil as well. I think are two really interesting charts that we should look at, because with gold and oil, this is kind of like where we can see inflation. You know, almost kind of expressed. You know, look what's happened to oil over the last. Let me just make this a clean chart. Look what's happened to the price of oil over the last few weeks, and you know, it's been a fascinating run, really, from all the way down here when it was at $7 and actually negative on the futures. I think it was at one point, and look where it is now. It's been an astonishing run, really, with what's happened with oil, and I think most people are probably calling for this. You know we are heading for a greener future, but when it comes down to something like oil, it's going to be a short-term picture, and we see there's lots of discussions and a lot more agreement going on with reducing the capacity and reducing the supply of oil. So we're likely to see oil continue potentially to go to the upside. But you know, we really have seen, look at this point from here. It really has broken through, kept going, formed this little bull flag here, kept going again, and okay, it's gonna eventually find some resistance. But even if it does, then it's suggesting that oil is a kind of buy the dip scenario at this particular stage. You know, that's what we're looking at, a buy the dip scenario in oil.
Going is this to gold, coming out of COVID story?
I think it is, mate. Yeah, I think it is. I think that we are sort of like getting to the point where
planes are flying. more people
Well,
want to work.
this and the interesting about aeroplanes, because obviously I was invested in EasyJet for a while now.
Hmm.
I've had to cut back the position on that because um, EasyJet went from where I bought it from. It went from £5 all the way up to £9, which is almost double. So it almost doubled in value within a matter of a month as soon as that COVID vaccine was announced. And this is where stories become interesting, because when you then look further into EasyJet, so you'd start going, okay, well, EasyJet's now got the vaccine. Travel stocks, and you know, not to kind of take us down too far a line with stocks, but just to touch on stocks a little bit, travel stocks all of a sudden look quite attractive. You know, we've got this vaccine rollout. The pandemic looks like it's getting to be under control, which it is. So then we sort of like say, okay, travel stocks are going to do very well. Well, that's all well and good, but we have to look at the debt that those travel stocks have had to carry into this particular position. Now, the other thing that we have to look at is what is the travel industry's, well, not the travel industry, what's the airline industry's biggest expense? And if we know that it's jet fuel, then we need to watch the price of oil, and the price of oil is starting to rise to the upside, and that is a concern for travel stocks. So EasyJet don't look quite as attractive anymore. So we have to be very, very careful. And Shukri just bringing in seasonality again. And another one interesting, if EasyJet's seasonality actually is seasonally tends to do quite well at this time of year. If it doesn't do well at this time of the year, I would say, and Shukri is saying oil is up when it should seasonally be down. This is what, you know, this could really put things out of kilt for a while. So my thought is, I agree with you, mate. I think that seasonality does start to kick in, but I wonder whether we need another 6 months, you know, of this new presidency before we start to see things genuinely calm down on the seasonality front and everything else as well. Looking at the dollar, you know, we've got to look at the dollar, we've got to look at oil, we've got to look at gold. Gold has been sold off because, you know, as much as anything else, we've seen enough dollar strength. Now, we've been talking about gold. We were talking about gold because of Ainsley's trade, you know, with gold. She always plays this seasonal trade into gold, into the new year. Now, personally, I couldn't do it because there was the COT data is not that positive, has not been that positive on oil. Now, if you'd traded it the way Ainsley trades it, you would have made money because she's trading it rather than investing in it longer term. But gold is at this stage is still not an investment, and I think we need gold in the portfolios. As you know, I've been saying this for a while. I think we need gold in the portfolio. Now the question is, what's going to drive our decision to buy gold? Now the first thing will be about inflation, and it looks like that is starting to potentially pick up and become a concern. But we've also got to see the dollar weaken again. Now, interesting with the dollar, we talk about the dollar index. Let's have a look at the dollar Swiss because it looks similar-ish to the dollar index. It's probably the closest looking. Now, looking at this on the weekly chart, last week's bar is suggesting some upside. And if we think about the pattern here, what we probably want to see is at least it get to the last level of potential support that got broken down. So this is what I'm currently seeing. And what needs to happen with the dollar is firstly it puts in some sort of reversal pattern down here, coming up to this point, getting through that particular point, finding a neckline along here, and then popping back down again, and then attempting to get back up again. Now, I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's the point that we start buying some gold, because the dollar is going to fail at that point. Because I think longer term, the dollar may still have some problems. You know, I don't think the dollar is really.
Definitely.
It's not really the currency you'd really want to own, but it certainly looks at this point that we could finally get some relief in the dollar and drag us up to firstly this point, but then eventually a neckline to try and form some sort of reversal pattern. So I am long dollar at the minute. I've been long dollar for quite some time. If probably not really interested in the trade I'm taking because it's yesterday's news. But if anybody wants to sort of get into the dollar and want some advice about how to get into the dollar, then ultimately we're just looking for, if we think about the Swissy, and the Swissy is a good play against the dollar right now. If we think about the Swissy, then where are you? What do I need here? Here we go. Think about the Swissy. What we'd be after is something that would eventually drag us back down, probably to where these pivots are, and think about the price action, drawing some trend lines along here. Looks like it's the daily pivot. Would be a first port of call. Let's just bring up a 4-hour chart and see what that looks like. Yeah, not bad. It's so against the Swissy, I see two prices. I see this this daily pivot, and I see the weekly pivot as well. Maybe slightly below, but somewhere in the region of 88.24. So 88.24 would probably be as low as I'd want to continue to buy into it. There is a price point at 88.12 as well, but this starts to look quite good. And look, we just be talking about some reversal patterns on bigger time frames. There's also a reversal pattern here on this time frame that would need to potentially form, and that would give us this. So there we got.
There's actually a truckload of them throughout the charts, potential reversals. And that's not unusual coming into a new year, of course.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Absolutely not. So this would provide our neckline along there. So we're looking somewhere sort of like in this area here for some potential trades to the upside. So 88.12 is the lower end of that range. 88.50 is probably the upper end of that range. So within here, there's some longs dollar. Now, if you want to try and build into those positions, then you need to manage the money, and I would suggest it's worth doing as well. You know. Rather than just buying here and putting stops really close, I'd sort of have a nice big stop underneath the very, very lowest point, and just use some of these positions to try and build into a dollar long against the Swissy. Specifically.
I've got one of those. I'm going to give you a monthly trade shortly.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so what else? What else we got then, mate? We got Brexit. Obviously, has finally happened.
Yay.
Yeah, finally happened. So what's going to happen to the pound from here on in, I think, is going to be quite interesting. And I think it's going to be...
What a great question. And why on earth is it still where it is? I expected it just to fall through the floor. But
well,
not so much Brexit, but everything surrounding it. I mean, there's not a lot to be cheerful about in the UK right now, no?
No, there's not, mate. No, there's not. And when it comes down to... the UK is nowhere near as attractive as a place to be invested in as it was before Brexit. However, the numbers at this stage are not reflecting anything too dangerous and too bad. So let's wait for the numbers to catch up, and well, not even catch up, but let's wait for the numbers to reveal themselves. And when they do, then I think we probably we probably would see some pound weakness.
Yeah, John, bang on. But wouldn't you think 5 years down the track they'd have some idea? But they don't. Clearly.
Oh, what about what
the details around Brexit?
Well, they can't really, I suppose, because we've been in the European Union for so many decades now that that this really is kind of uncharted territory. So I guess they just allow it to kind of they allow it to form as we go, and I think that's what it's going to be. We've already had food shortages kind of coming in, so there's every chance that we'll see a year of a lot of disruption, but we won't really know until probably next year is the truth of it, mate. And what's going to be interesting, I think, is that the UK may benefit from some global growth now. This year we probably will get into some global growth. We definitely need it after last year, and the UK might just be quite nicely covered by that over the next 6 to 12 months maybe. But the numbers aren't too bad. A lot of the numbers, a lot of the countries have had bounce backs. Now, when it comes down to employment detail and this, that, and the other, that's not looking so good. But I think it's early enough in the year for us not to really know what's around the corner just yet. I think maybe some turnaround. Fair. Yeah, we'll turn around in some of these fortunes. Might see some dollar strength. Early doors maybe for a month or so, but then maybe it's back to where we were before. It's going to depend on a Biden's Biden's policies. Elon Musk as well, mate. He's in the news. Elon Musk, quite interesting about the.
What's he done now?
Well, he's off into space to kind of get broadband up and going in space. It's he's incredibly forward thinking, but he's making headway into the UK.
What do you mean?
He's taken. Well, he's taken the network up in the skies. So he can kind of which kind of makes a lot of sense, you know. It's almost like
you mean okay, he's not setting up a broadband network on Mars. That's not what you mean.
Kind of.
Oh, okay.
Kind of. It's not quite as far as that, but yeah, it's kind of that. Yeah, he's kind of.
So we can talk to Richard Branson. So
yeah, I'm sure.
The only two pricks up there, weren't they?
I'm sure. Richard Branson. I'd love to get up there as well. But yeah. What else is in the news? Oh, HSBC are being put under some pressure by their shareholders to get more clean investments, which again I think is really interesting. And we need to know this stuff. We need to be aware of this stuff because you know that there are some green energy investments that really. They've kind of already taken off, and it's going to be very difficult to get on board with them now. But we there are still out there. I can't remember who mentioned it last year, but there was one that someone was talking about. Who was it? Aqua Biotech or something? Just checking out what the name of the company was. It was a farming thing. It was Advanced Micro. No, it's not those. Aqua Bounty Technologies. Somebody's mentioning those last year, and they did actually have a really nice pop to the upside. But there's a few of these. There's a few of these green companies that we've just got to get aware of them and look around and see where the opportunities are, because there will be some green.
Do that, right? That's part of our agenda this year, isn't it? To get into that sort of thing.
Yes.
Not so much okay by the mainstream, but let's think outside the square and say, okay, if let's say oil is going to rally, if not long term, then for the short term, because COVID's come back, or we're paring it back through a vaccine. What will benefit from that apart from the airlines, or is there a better play than that? Is there a penny stock that we can grab hold of, if you like, and ride that to the moon, Shukri?
Those sorts of no, I mean a little bit late. There's a company called ITM which I've been watching, which is a hydrogen company that they've just gone crazy. I mean, it's like it's up 150% in the last month or so. And I think those clean energy stocks are we're just going to have to keep our eyes out and see what's available. I'll tell you what's a really interesting company I think right now is Airbus. You look at Airbus and what their plans are for the next few years, and we've got Airbus who are releasing their hydrogen and clean energy fueled airlines by 2035. And you look at some of these airplanes, and they're pretty sparkling stuff, mate. So the airline industry is absolutely not going away, but I think Airbus becomes like a really interesting aspect of that. If we like airlines and potentially airline stocks, then maybe we don't look at airlines per se. Maybe we ignore airlines and actually go right to the airplane maker instead, because Airbus will continue to sell airplanes to the airline the airline companies while they make oil-based aircraft, because they still need to fly their customers around. But as soon as they get their hydrogen engines up and running, I think that they become an even more important player in the airline space. And it's a very difficult one to get into. There are quite a few airlines out there, but not that many airplane making stocks. Or aircraft making companies, because didn't
they have it right back in the 30s and 40s, where you just fill this thing up with helium and away she goes? You just need a bigger fan, don't you?
I don't know, mate. I don't know anything about the science. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe should we forget Airbus? Let's just go with Jeff Bus. And
isn't that what they called weren't they called Airbuses? Those
I don't know. I don't know.
Safe,
I'm not sure. Not sure. They don't sound too safe. Helen, how you doing? No. Happy New Year to you too. So
So have you got
I
any
don't think.
trades?
What's that, mate?
If you got any trades, are we going to place a trade today or not?
Oh, do you know? I mean, I've got some trades on, which I can show you guys. Really, the trades for me, I'm already in. I'm already in this euro. I'm already in the euro, but the trades for me are really just kind of like going to continue to kind of get into some long dollar. That's about as broad as I can give you right now, because I don't, with the FTSE and with the markets. We can look at the FTSE, but I think the FTSE goes higher. So any retracement down is going to be interesting, but I'd like to see the FTSE down to around about 6,600. If it gets to 6,600, and it's at 68450 right now, mate, so a long way off. So no trade to do there really. I think I've said about the dollar Swiss. The dollar Swiss I want to see down at around about the 88.50 level, down to 88.10.
I kind of got an interesting alternate viewpoint on that.
Yeah.
And it's not technical. It is technical, but we looked at the dollar index. Have you got a dollar index chart?
I can get a dollar index chart. Yep.
I've got one if you haven't. But can you really see that coming back? And if it does, isn't it gone again? Doesn't that make that a tough one?
Which the dollar index here?
Let's go to a weekly chart. Or even the daily chart says the same thing.
Here's the daily. Yep.
That's potential reversal stuff where we're at, right? And it looks to have broken that trend.
Yep.
Certainly short term.
Yep.
You want to see it pull back to that line, which coincides with your dollar Swissy thing, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yep. Okay, so that makes sense. But isn't it going to rally beyond there?
What, to go higher?
Yes, to a rally, let's say, and you picked out a point. I've got a point also. And I think this is probably my most important thing going into 2021 is what is going to happen to that the US dollar. And I've got it at just below 91. And if it gets to 91 or just below 91, as we discussed earlier, I've got to be a seller of the dollar. Got to be.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I've got 92 and 94 as 2 price points for the dollar. I wonder whether we get to 94. My personal take on it would be that we would get our reversal pattern. I wonder whether over the course of the next. Well, what did this take? This is since July, and we're probably most of the way done with it. So July, so 6 months, over the course of the first half of the year, I wonder whether we do start to form this reversal pattern and then break down. That would be the best case scenario for me. But the key for me, mate, with the dollar is I think we've got to watch those bonds. I think we've got to watch the bond yields, because if the bond yields continue to rise, it's going to put pressure on this US dollar as some upside. So where before we'd look at some of the economic numbers that would be released. I think with this one, we might well be seeing the market participants actually driving the dollar to the upside. So I like the dollar as a long. I'm going to find it difficult to pick it out. I think I know what you mean about the 91. That's going to lead us to around about the top of this area, isn't it? I know what you mean about that, and I'm nervous about the dollar as a long. But all I'm going to do is if it does start to move to the upside. So I've got it currently with the euro, and I've got a few positions on with the euro dollar. I'm not sure if it's quite in profit. It's probably just about in profit with euro dollar. I'm not sure. Let me have a quick look. Oh no, sorry, that's a different account. Sorry. I think it's about flat. I think it's about flat on that account. That the money in profit on that account is from a different trade. So I've only got the euro dollar on this account, and I think it's probably, oh, here we go. I can just do it here. Yeah, it's about $25 down right now. So all I'll be doing with the play with this is that, it hasn't got to come down much before it's in profit, probably just a little bit lower. But as it comes down, I'll just be seeing if I can slide stops in just behind it, because I agree with you. I think it's a bit of a dangerous play. Not dangerous, but I think it's a bit of a difficult play to say it's going to break through here and go, because the dollar has been so weak, and for the reasons of the stimulus, it probably will remain weak. But I'd like to see it at least down to this point here against the euro, which probably coincides to around about the 91 level that you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking if you want to trade the euro and you're bearish the euro, which I am, I think I'd rather trade it against something that has got a firmer footing, something like the Aussie, for instance.
Yeah, I was going to say, Aussie, Aussie, Euro Aussie would be a good play. I think as well. I make you right on that. Yeah,
but you need to pull back on that too, because it's already broken.
Yes, this is the interesting thing, though. If we are, and I don't know whether I guess in a way it's more of a dollar play right now than a euro play. If we all of a sudden get bearish on the euro, the one reason the dollar looks attractive is because of the price point. Because it rallied so hard against the dollar. When we're looking at the euro dollar and we look at it on a monthly chart, it just hasn't come back very, very far, and we are at this area. We have talked about this area of potential resistance, and it would suggest some downside. You look at last week's bar as well. Last week's bar, the previous week's bar. There's just a little bit of weakness up here, so I'd love to see the euro dollar down to this point here before I'm taking profit. Around about the 119 area. I'm not sure whether I'll get it or not, but I'd like to see the euro down at least a couple of cents against the dollar, and it's really finding some of those stories and some of those reasons that it might do so.
It's a tough one to call in terms of the resistance level. If you go to the monthly chart, there's a cloud of a price somewhere between 125.50 and, let's say, I don't know, around about pretty much where we are now, 123.
Yeah,
there's a cloud of price in there, and it's tough to call.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'll make you right on it, mate. Yeah.
And then if you look at that chart, you can see the clear, in my opinion, the clear double, triple bottom followed by a higher low. The good part about that is you are at that exactly that line you're putting on your chart. That's where the resistance is. But it's a cloud of a price, and I think that's very, very tough to call where that resistance is. But I'm totally with you. I think there's plenty of downside there. It's going to come back down to that higher low. I've got no doubt about that.
Yeah, we've got Jerome Powell out this week, and I think if we, as I say, I think we've got to watch out for those yields, because if those yields continue to strengthen, I wonder whether he might get asked about that this week. And let's just have a quick look through this. So, making the case for the dollar right now, if we have just a quick look through what we've got, Broadbent out on the pound, but should we have Jerome Powell? Do we not have Jerome Powell this week?
Yeah, he's had a little chat somewhere, I think.
Lagarde is out on Wednesday.
EuroCAD very shortly, and I'm going to give you a trade on EuroCAD. Pound CAD, not so much.
There we go. On Thursday. On Thursday, we got Jerome Powell, and I wonder whether he might be asked about the situation with the dollar.
Is that a testimony, or who are you talking to?
Let's have a quick look at this as well. Due to speak at a webinar host in Princeton, audience questions expected.
No, yeah, as you say, they'll ask him.
Oh,
where's the direction? What are we going to do? What are you going to do with interest rates? Blah blah blah.
Yeah, but I wonder if he's asked about the bond price. I wonder what his reaction and his what he might say about that. But look at the COT data, mate. This is where it gets really interesting. You look at the dollar index, 99% over 3 years, 99% over a year and a half, 96% over 6 months, and this is all pointing to the commercial traders all big buyers of the dollar index, and it's been like that for some weeks, and they haven't yet had their move. We know what the start of the year can do many times. So I wonder whether we're about to get our move now.
Yeah, look, it looks that way. As I said, from technical point of view, I see it going to 91 and going there pretty much this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's after that, I'm a seller, I think.
Yes, me too, mate. Me too. With you. Okay, so I mean that's pretty much me, mate.
You're done.
Basically, yes, I am. Yes, I'm sure Jeff will cover the Euro CADs and the pound CADs. Yes. Obviously we'll be back. We'll be back again tomorrow. I'm going to stick around, so, for another 5 minutes. But I've got to finish fairly sharply because I've got to go and start my music school.
Cool. Sounds good. All right. I'll take over then. And if you want to butt in, and guys, I haven't heard one question yet in terms of I want to say something, and that's all good. But it's not good for a talkback show. So again, and this is going to take a while to get going, I'm sure, because you guys need to get a bit of confidence around, I guess, appearing. But please join us on our Zoom meetings rather than YouTube, or in conjunction with YouTube. And that link, if you are on YouTube, is below us on the description. So all you need to do is click on that and you can join us in the Zoom meetings where you can ask questions and be on camera. You can be a star for 15 seconds. Right, let's start with the trade that I'm still in. Some of you guys will be, and how I've managed that. And that is Aussie Kiwi. My goodness, it's starting to cost me money. No, it's not. But the swaps on this are starting to get a little bit expensive. But there's absolutely no reason to get out. If you are in this trade with me, then here's where my stops are at the moment. We've trailed them up to, I can't remember the level, but it's underneath these swings at what, 106.60, 106.60. That's where we currently have our stop losses. So at the current rate of swaps, we're still pretty well covered there, no dramas. Now let's go to EuroCAD, because that was absolutely second on my list, Helen. And the reason it's second on my list is because I've been waiting for the longest time to get into this, right? Now, I am going to place this trade based on that candle there. Now, the reason I'm going to place this trade based on that candle there is not because I love the setup so much, but it's because the reward to risk is substantial here. Because if this does go short, and this may take some time, and if you look at the last, 6 months, and this is how long I've been trying to get into this trade, and I think we've traded actually 9 or 10 times on smaller time frames, and the results are underwhelming yet positive. I'm still working on this. Now, why? Well, because the monthly chart's telling me that we can't get above 159.43, and that's that big black line that you see there. And since then, we've just come down slowly, and then we've now created a lower high, and that's what I'd like to trade. So I'd like to trade on a 4-hour chart, frankly, but it hasn't set up properly on a 4-hour chart for the longest time. So I'm actually going to place an order underneath that bar with a stop loss above it. I don't think you need to go any higher than that. If it doesn't go short at this time, then it's probably going to have another look at that level, and hopefully before we get taken in to the short. But I think that's worthy of our attention, and that is my focus for EuroCAD in the first week of 2004, second week really, but certainly the first week of trading in 2021. So if you want to follow that one, happy days. If you don't like the scenario, then that's fine, but I think that's worthy of our attention. You would need to take TP1 around. I'll be putting this in the Telegram channel, guys, by the way, this trade, if you want to have a look at it. TP1's got to be before these lows here. And in fact, I'm going to put it there at about 200 pips. So right on 152 really. So probably 152.05 will be TP1. As I said, I'll be putting this in the Telegram group. The entry will be around about there, 153.95, let's say. And the stop loss will be about 400 odd pips above at 158, probably 05, maybe 158.10. But the plan, of course, is to take TP1 here, We'll look to take TP2 probably here at the big black line at 144. So there's a big reward here available if we can get this right. And we will then take, we'll have 3/4 of the trade off the table at that point. And we'll look for a bonus, of course. We'll trade maybe on a daily chart, weekly chart, something like that. I'll micromanage that in the Telegram group anyway. Monthly chart, Helen. Monthly chart. So we're trading the monthly bar, that one there, basically. So we go a little bit above it for the stop loss, a little bit below it for the entry. And as I said, I'll put the parameters for that in the Telegram channel, all of which, you are welcome to join the Telegram channel. Again, the link is underneath us on the YouTube channel. And I think Angel has posted it in this chat as well. Ash, I know you've got to go, buddy. See you tomorrow, right?
Yeah. I've got to shoot off. Happy trading, guys. I'll see you in the morning, as always. See you tomorrow, buddy. Have a good one.
Dun 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 dun. That's the extent of my pianos.
Oh, no, it's good work, mate. It's good work.
Have a good one, mate.
Yeah, you too, mate. You too. Have a good one. I'll see you.